Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de The Alzheimer's Association y The Ad Council.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
I used to smoke. I thought of cigarettes as my best friend.
They were always there for me when I needed a break.
I also thought cigarettes were my best friend, and then they gave me peripheral artery disease.
I smoked and had a stroke. Actually, multiple strokes.
I smoked and have heart disease.
Here's my tip. If cigarettes are your friend, you need a better friend.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Outside is where winter adventure unfolds. On frozen lakes, icy landscapes, and snow-covered slopes. Feeling the cold air rush by as you race downhill. The freedom of gliding with ease and the warmth of being together. From epic sled rides to the fun of ice fishing, it's all right here beneath Nebraska skies. Start your winter adventure at yournebraskaparks.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Associations and this station.
Ashiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere air seeder during Landmark Implement's Fast Start Early Order program. Take your seeding performance to the next level with John Deere's advanced air seeding technology. Achieve precise seed and fertilizer placement, optimize emergence, and cover more acres with less downtime. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year during Landmark Implement's Fast Start Early Order program. Contact your Landmark Implement for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
This is Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson BHS LLC. And joined as always on the ones and twos with Harrison on a Sunday morning, which from the fitness fanatic said that it was deceivingly cold outside. So I hadn't been back out for an hour. I was in here doing some work, but it's a beautiful day. Looks like the car washes are going to be busy. Some people are doing the lawn mowing. That's something I've got on my list to do. So how are you doing this morning, Harrison?
I'm doing fantastic. And I live in an apartment, so I don't got to worry about the lawn. So that's nice.
You're not getting the discount by going out and doing the work around the apartment or anything?
No, that's only I only go back to mow and I want to go back home, which would be this Easter. I'm sure I'll get a chance to mow the lawn again.
Oh, fantastic. Well, hey, you had a full day of programming here on The Ticket. Always glad to be in. And before we get to our guests, kind of the rundown. And if you didn't get a chance, the Fitness Fanatics were on earlier. Next 24 kind of kicked off the day. And then I knew there was a replay of the Beacon with the Lighthouse show.
Yeah,
so.
that was like one of their first episodes. Thought it was a cool one. That, obviously you get to hear about that. Jay Foreman was on for that one as well, and he's one of the board members for those guys.
Awesome. So always, and then following up, you get another full day. I know you got the W hour, and then kind of continue on. So what's the rest of the day look like?
Yeah, as we'll have our normal programming, and I do believe, let me double check the logs here, but I think we'll have Royals on later as well. Yep, so we'll have the Royals game on. I know we got plenty of Royals fans here in Lincoln. And so 12 o'clock, we'll have those guys, Royals baseball. But, of course, all our shows streaming, normal schedule. You guys catch those YouTube, Facebook, XL, Channel 961. And if you got it, the Ticket app as well.
Fantastic. Well, the change of the season's kind of happening when you got the Masters on. And so gotten to catch a little bit of that. I had a friend, he told me he got his first 18 in. So I'm kind of got a couple things going on this week, but I'm hoping I think I'm going to go hit the links hopefully this week. We'll get my first swing or two in and then see if I get escorted off a course or not. But, you had Rory and a couple of the leaders, was it DeChambeau, I believe, are the two that are kind of carrying the flag right now.
Yeah, McEnroe right now is leading 12 under par, and Bryson DeChambeau, he is 10 under.
Okay.
And you got Connors, who's 8 under. Right now, that's your 1, 2, 3. All about 2 strokes apart from each other.
So if you get a chance, like I said, that's, it's that change of things. And I think for me, that's the thing that kicks it off. And then you got the high school components that are going on. You got track meets that are going. I think you're getting some beautiful weather for that. I remember my daughter, when she was running, we didn't know that was a sport that she was going to take into. And so I always remember going to Millard, and I believe they had one, and it was just cold as all get out. And so you were huddled up in blankets and everything. They'd put those tents out there, and I'm like, you need to have a heater or two in those. So, you get to see the track meets happening. You're starting to see tennis, obviously girls soccer, which is kind of taken over by storm. I think I saw, and then you got the announcement of the all-state teams for basketball. So, I know the Omaha team was released, and they had, a couple representations from the Lincoln area. So always good to kind of see that. And then pretty soon, before you know it, I was talking to I got to speak at one of the colleges, and they're only about 4 weeks out, and then they're out of school. And so, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, the beginning, kind of after COVID, some of them had made that adjustment to go a little bit later. Well, now they're kind of back on those schedules. And so you're starting to see some of those schools that first week of May, that second week of May, school's done.
Yeah, it's crazy when you're not in that anymore, how fast that stuff goes by there. That makes me think, take a week night. We'll see which student athletes end up sticking around here as well, as those guys going to be wrapping up. But since we're on it, I don't want to forget either. Shout out Husker bowling team. Their season wrapped up, but semi-finalist in it. They lost to Youngstown in that round, and Youngstown ended up winning the whole thing. But really good season, and I know they're losing Kayla Verstrady, the only senior on that team who's going to be on the way out the door. So great season for her in particular, and then the whole team. Just a good year.
Well, you got a big week of just Husker athletics, the crown, because I remember last week, and then you got the Final Four that concluded, both men's and women's. Then you also got wrestling. I know they had a banquet night, and shout out to the Ticket on that. I know DP and Rebecca, very supportive across the board, but it was really cool to see. I think one of the wrestlers dropped the puck, at the Stars game, and
shout out the Stars as well.
Yeah,
they got
they won the
season.
trophy.
Yeah, they got the Anderson Cup regular season trophy, and then they also broke the franchise record for the Stars, most wins in a Stars season. And, I think that program has been around for like 30 plus, maybe more than that.
You don't want to age me, because I actually, quiet known fact, I actually got to attend their first game.
No way.
Yeah, I won't go into what my job was when I first came out of college, but I happened to work for an entity that was doing the games, and I actually had to work, and I attended their actual first game at Stars hockey. So a little bit of a flashback in regards to that. That's a story for another day. But we do want to just give a special shout out to some districts this week. We had, as my day job at Lincoln Public Schools, did a greater than one district. And so we had the opportunity to it was rescheduled from February. DP actually was the keynote speaker at the one in February, and because of weather, the districts weren't able to come, but had 5 districts that ended up attending: Grand Island, Bellevue, West Side, I want to Lincoln Public Schools and Omaha Public Schools, and we'll have some Omaha Public School scholars on actually on the 27th. But they came and just had just built community. People kind of asked what it was about, and it was about leadership opportunities, engagement opportunities, but just for these scholars from different districts to build community with one another, lift each other up, and then just also put forward kindness and inclusion and what that looks like. And so it was a tremendous atmosphere. A number of people were involved in that. We were able to host at Lincoln Public Schools, but want to give a shout out to the districts. A number of the scholars were like, hey, can I be on your show? Can I be on the show? Can I be on the show? And so I want to give a shout out to all those that are listening today, but also those advisors who took the time, especially during this time of year, to come down and just invest in scholars so they can have their voice elevated.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. It's just anytime, I think we see a lot with the youth. It's like they just, that recognition, take that time out there, go and speak to them, hear what they really have to say. And that's why this show, I think, has been awesome. And it's crazy to think, do you get to a point now where you got quite a few scholars recognizing you as the ticket guy and like the guy to get on the ticket, or how does that work?
You know what? I think I'm making the age demographics skew a little bit, hopefully for the ticket, but their parents listen. You have these young people. We've bragged a little bit that we've had individuals who have families in Ghana and Sudan, but that is so cool. Even on LinkedIn, like somebody will go ahead and friend and like, hey, I've been listening to your stuff on the ticket, and I'll look where they're from, and it's not in the area. And so I think that's a testament not only to you, but also to DP and Rebecca for opening up the airways of just recognizing that, this is not just, a Lancaster County thing. And what I have really appreciated is just being able to bring in somebody from Colorado. I got to go visit and see Kahari Wallace, who was on with a couple of his players from George Washington High School, and actually go to that high school. And I think I said it last week, but I didn't know Chauncey Billups played there, but actually see those scholars that were on, and see Adam, who has trained Lauren and Sienna Betts from UCLA, and see his athletes. And so being able to open the platform for those scholars who have a lot in common with ours, but ours have a lot in common with them, to kind of be a window and also a mirror, so they can each see each other, but also see out that there's more than, sometimes just this community, but also bring others into this community to share their journey as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important to do, and hopefully, we continue to do a good job at it. I like to pat ourselves on the back. I think it's been awesome that how many scholars we have on, and we're going to hear from some more today. But yeah, it's just been really cool how this thing continues to grow, and the hope of it is keep identifying these great people, and some of them might want to stick around the city of Lincoln as well. And if they go on and do their own thing, fantastic. But yeah, it's just always nice to remind people we got some really great people in the city, and we got to invest in these people. And the ultimate reward is they stick around and it pays off. If not, that's not for everybody. But you got to invest in people if you want to make great people.
No, without question. And so that great transition, because we've got a young man who I'm going to start with today, who is from, and he's going to tell us a little bit, but I want to say the pride of Palmyra, school district, and BJ Benjamin is here, and I'm excited to have him. How you doing today?
Good. How about you?
Awesome. Fantastic. Well, hey, let's just start off. Tell us a little bit about your journey, who you are, and then you're going to get to introduce this young lady that's next to you before, but this is your space. So tell us a little bit about who BJ is.
So I was born in Lincoln.
Okay.
And then when I was 1 year old, we moved to Bennett, which is like, I think, south of Lincoln.
Yeah.
And then went to preschool in Lincoln, and then switched preschool in Bennett, and then elementary school in Bennett. And then just last year I moved to Palmyra for middle school, and then it was like a big change. And all my friends helped me through like moving to Palmyra. But
So you've had a little bit of a journey, but kind of around the area, and that's kind of still kind of around the Lincoln area, so to speak, with Bennett and Palmyra. So all kind of within, I don't want to say walking distance. Your mom might say, when I was growing up, we could still walk to school in Lincoln, but now these people are getting soft, so my kid has to go to a school in Palmyra. But tell us about Palmyra for those that may not know. Just give me what is one or two things that like would make Palmyra. Like if you were going to explain explain the community of Palmyra to us.
Well, it's just a pretty small community. I think the school there is really great, and I enjoy being there, being able to be in sports there, being able to be in FCA there, and just so much that I get to compete in and be a part of.
Awesome. So obviously you're doing a number of different things and making that happen. Tell us who's in your family.
My mom, my dad, my brother Malcolm, my brother Isaac, and my oldest brother Darian and his wife Maddie. And then my mom and dad's name is Mickey and Vern. And then my cat's name is Tula.
Oh, see, you obviously have been listening to this show because normally I have to prompt people, do you have any pets? And then we ask what their name is. So give us your cat's name again.
Tula.
Okay. We have a top 5 list. And so that we haven't, normally it's been dogs. So Tula kind of gets in there. Is there a reason? Like what's the meaning behind Tula?
I have no idea. My brother picked the name.
Okay. Well, we have another individual with us, and you spoke about your mother. And so traditionally I try to do the introduction or my connect to that individual, but I want you've got the mic, you're introducing the person to your left. Tell the community who this person is.
She's my mom. She stands up for civil rights and human rights, and she's done a lot of work in that area. She's been to the Malone Center. She's worked there. She's worked at the Ruth Staples Development Center. And she's just done a lot of work trying to make sure that our family gets what we need and that everybody else can have equality.
Wow. What is something unique about this woman before we let her kind of tell her story, who she is? What is something unique that people wouldn't know if they didn't have an opportunity to be in your household?
She doesn't give up.
Love it. Okay. Well, with that being said, I want to, Miss Mickey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Pete.
And it's Miss Mickey now. Everybody's like Miss Mickey, like it beats running it together.
Yeah,
So
it's Miss Mickey. It's a Choctaw native name, but it's just easier for everybody to call me Mickey.
No, without question. And so tell us a little bit about who you are and just your journey. And first off, how do you feel about when you hear that introduction coming from your baby?
Pretty proud because that means he's paid close attention to what his mom has been doing all these years. And so that was a pretty cool introduction. Thank you, son.
Love that.
Yeah. And he's right. I started out at Lincoln Public Schools as a teacher. I've worked with children my entire life. I absolutely love it. Wouldn't do anything different. And then I made some steps to first stay home when we did move to Bennett Palmyra School District. I stayed home with Benjamin while he was a baby until I went back to work. And I went back to work at, the Child Development Center on East Campus for the University of Nebraska. I did for a minute, attempt to be part of the Malone Center. And it was wonderful because I was the director of youth programs and preschool there. And it was an experience that I will always remember. And I'm really excited, by the way, for their new endeavors. I'm really happy about the new building going up and all the things it's going to bring into this community. So, and now I'm back. And so back at the university, and recently I'm doing more global work. I'm on the workforce for the World Forum Foundation, and we have started a task force called Race, Racism, Equity, and Diversity. I know those are words that are, being thrown around as far as whether we can talk about that or not anymore, but this is a global thing. And so I get on meetings regularly with people all around the world to talk about how to continue moving forward for the type of work that is important for young children and middle school age children, all ages, so that our future embraces it more. So
Awesome.
that's my more recent work.
Tell us a little bit just about your early, background. Are you from the Lincoln area? Where did you go to school? High school? I don't want to take you too far back, but, but go ahead.
Okay, we're talking years and years here. Well, no, I was born in New Jersey, lived in New York for a while. I was very little. Then for a minute there, my mother got a Rotary scholarship to England. And so from ages 7 to 11, I lived in England. I had no idea how amazing that experience was when I was that age. I look back now and it was a huge blessing and some of the best memories of my childhood that I've ever had. Living in a different culture, experiencing a different culture. And then I moved back to the United States with my sister when I was about 11 years old to live with my father. And I've been back since. We moved back to Kansas. My dad was a Methodist minister. And then we ended up in Independence, Kansas, where I finally said, Dad, I want to stop and stay somewhere. Right. Can I please graduate high school here? So shout out to the Bulldogs, IHS. And then I think I moved to Nebraska in 92, 93. Okay. And I was in my early 20s and
just making it happen. It happen. I don't want to have you have too many flashbacks now. I want to. I had to cut you off real quick you started having that. You looked over at Harrison. He was like, she's about to go down that road right now.
I'm like, yep, how far 92, do you want 93. Me to go?
Hey, we have. There's plenty. Yeah. If you want to hear about 92, 93, we've got that on a weekday basis. You got Terrell. You got the captain. You got a number of individuals. The Character Chronicles. Yeah. Go ahead and live it up. So I don't want to get you busted by any means.
No, that's all good.
All good.
Yeah.
But, well, you talked about a little bit about your journey. I'm interested, BJ, probably before we go to break, is what are some things you talked a little bit about things that you're involved in, but just expand on that. I know you talked about FCA and I know you recently had a track meet. So what are some of the things that you are involved in and you have been involved with, even if they may have discontinued at this point in time?
So I've been involved in multiple things, from track starting a couple weeks ago to basketball when I started in 3rd grade. And basketball, I didn't know if I was going to be very good in that, but some people have told me that I'm pretty good.
Okay. That's always the best testimonial right there for you.
And I've also been involved in FCA. Tried baseball, didn't really like it. I've been in plenty of other sports.
I got to ask you, any music, singing, playing, writing?
Yeah, I was in choir. I didn't really like it that much because, of course, when I was in 6th grade, I was like, oh, I want to go out to recess, but we didn't get recess if we had choir.
So that's usually the elimination factor. So right there, we are a big fan of the arts here at 93.7 The Ticket. But if you are doing scheduling, do not schedule choir right over PE as a 6th grader. It's, right there. We're going to have to talk about, I don't know what district was doing that, but that's probably not going to, I'm going to say PE is going to win out every time.
It sure did.
Especially with our young males.
Yeah. But he can sing, though.
Okay.
I'm just going to say that.
We might have to put you on blast then and then go ahead. Hey, real quick, we're going to go to break here. Who's your favorite artist?
SZA.
SZA. Oh, okay. We might have to change. That's not going to be on the outtake music, but we might go ahead and look at that in the future. Hey, we'll be right back here on 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score.
Nebco is hiring CDL drivers for ready-mixed concrete in Lincoln. With 3 plants across the city, there are plenty of opportunities to start or grow your driving career. They offer great pay, medical and retirement benefits, paid time off, and they cover the cost of CDL training. Apply today and receive a $2,500 hiring bonus. Since 1908, it's the employees that have formed the company's solid foundation. Start your career today with ready-mixed concrete. Visit nebcoinc.com. That's NEBCOINC.com.
It's the problem no one wants to talk about, the middle child of driver safety. In the time of doing everything in the car with 3 screens and a surround sound symphony sending you somewhere sunny, driving takes a back seat to swiping and replying. And while you're eating and taking a sip from your drink, more than 14% of fatal and injury crashes are being caused by distracted driving. This is distracted driving for real. Let's start driving for real. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
It's never too late to start protecting your company's data from cyber attacks. Your customers put their trust in you to keep their information safe from online threats. Don't let them down. Partner with Hamilton Business Technologies to get real-time threat monitoring, advanced security protocols, and experts who monitor it all for you. We care about the success of your business and the communities you serve. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Connect with us at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Ashiro's work is never done. You care for the house, the kids, and our future. We're so grateful for all you do. Now it's time to care for yourself and save a little more for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to boost your retirement savings now. Visit asiaretirement.org/Shiro today.
A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Men in Nebraska can be set in their ways, but they can also be quick to change their minds. Just 10 minutes can be enough to step back and rethink the life-ending decision of suicide. If you have a friend or family member who's struggling with depression, talk to them about temporarily storing their guns away from their home. Paid for by the University of Nebraska Public Policy Center. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I think it's just vapor. Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as 1 pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous. 5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Back to Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson BHS LLC, and as always, joined on the ones and twos with Harrison. Greatly appreciate that. Harrison, if people want to get in touch with us or affirm our guests, how can they do that?
Yeah, as always, 402-464-5685, starting name and text line, and you can watch the streams, comment there as well as Facebook, YouTube, X, and AlGel961 if you got Allo cable.
Fantastic. Well, hey, we have had a great first segment. We kind of chopped it up about some random conversations earlier, and then we've got the Montgomery family in here, and I don't say the pride of Palmyra, so I know they've got some people listening. So before we got to get too far in, BJ, first off, anybody you want to give a shout out to? You told me earlier you got some friends listening, so show them some love.
My friends Braylon, Brody, and also to my family, Darian, Maddie, Malcolm, Isaac, and my grandma Cook, or my grandma Sherry, and my grandpa Tom.
All right, good stuff. Didn't want to leave anybody else. Maybe, what about you? Any family, educators, coworkers over at the Roost Staples? A phenomenal crew over there. So the whole Roost Staples, she's like the whole Roost Staples gang. They were like throwing signs and everything. Now Harrison doesn't know that's like an early childhood group, and so the little kid be running around. We heard you, Miss Maggie. We heard you. So everything else. But anybody special you want to go ahead and show some love to?
Absolutely, definitely my Roost Staples family. When I say family, I mean that in the entire aspect. The child youth and family service, that entire department at UNL, they're just so amazing. And I just want to say, hey, what's up? And then also I want to wish my mom a happy birthday.
Oh, okay.
So Grandma Sherry, he was talking about, it is her birthday today. So happy birthday, Mommy. Happy birthday.
There you go. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Grandma. Mama Sherry. That's what we're going to say. Mama Sherry. Yeah. So we got that birthday wish from 93.7 The Ticket and Bigger Than the Score. So BJ, I want to ask you just advice. You're involved in a number of things, and we were talking during the break. I'm just interested. What is a piece of advice that you've received, whether it's from family, whether it's from outside, that you have kind of taken to heart, where you're like, man, that's a piece that I'm living with. I'm going to hold on to for the rest of my life.
Some of the best advice that I've ever been given is don't climb the mountain to be seen, but climb the mountain to see the view.
Wait a minute, you're gonna have to go ahead and put that forward again, because Harris and I got our heads nodding right there, being like, all right, say that again.
Don't climb the mountain to be seen, but climb the mountain to see the view.
Explain that to us for those that may not be getting that.
So, like, if you want to do something, like if you want to be famous, don't be famous because you want to be known. Be famous or do that because you know that that's what you want to do.
I like it. It has a lot of those servant leadership concepts that, when people put forward, servant leaders serve the common good, or are better, being somebody you're better because they have lived. And so really definitely appreciate that. Mickey, I want to ask you, because this is a little bit different of a twist on the advice that you've received, but what is a piece of advice maybe that you've given, whether it be to your sons, whether it be professionally, that you're like, man, I wish I wouldn't, like, looking back on that wasn't great. That wasn't great advice. Because I think sometimes we think about the advice that we've given and we celebrate that, but not reflecting on the advice maybe that we gave that, if we could adjust that, I'm not going to put that out there again.
Well, when I think of advice, I always have to think of just kind of even what I was brought up to believe and the standards and the morals that I was brought up to think this is how I'm supposed to move forward and also give advice to others. And I always think, oh yeah, as a parent, I'm giving great advice and I'm doing this and I'm doing that.
Making it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. At least that's what I've thought. But I'll tell you one thing, I have 4 boys, all 4 or 5 years apart. And one of the most challenging things for me is to look back to the first time I became a parent and really thought I knew what I was doing, and found out that my child that I had at the time, my first child and my second, and all of them, they were growing with me as I was growing too. And so any advice that I gave, it was the advice that I thought was best at the time. I thought was going to protect them, was going to, help them move forward, was going to show them love, was going to make them, whoever they needed to be and God intended them to be in their future. And I look back now and there's some things that, I wish I didn't do. I wish I wasn't trying, I wish I didn't try to control so much to protect them and let them make some of their own decisions more instead of telling them what they should do. And I know that that's not necessarily a piece of advice, but it is a time in my life that I'm like, if I would have given them more opportunities to follow what they wanted to do and not tell them what they wanted to do to a certain degree at whatever age they were at and to a certain level of protection, they would have had more experiences to be able to find out on their own what, consequences are or what the outcome could be without my interference. And I'll tell you what, I've come far now, and it feels good to be able to be there for my children as much as I can, but still, step back and let them experience life in a healthy, safe way at whatever age they are and whatever they're going through. But I'm still going to be there. I keep telling them I ain't going nowhere.
That's all right. No, I know. And all of them don't want you going anywhere without question. So, BJ, tell me just what is the truth? And I ask this, what's the truth about life that you wish more people understood? And I know you're in that frame and you got more years ahead of you than you do behind you, but even right now, I'm always interested with young people, like a truth that they feel about life that they wish more people understood.
If you have like a really strong talent or a really strong like belief, don't stop believing in that. Don't stop going for that.
And I like how you talked about like just, moving forward with the talent that you have. And so, you talked a lot about things you're involved in. What is a talent that you have that people need to spend time with you to get to know?
Well, I guess you could say I'm a really good talker.
Okay.
I talk a lot.
Okay. So you get that. So speech, debate, anything? I mean, what do your future plans have with that? You using your voice?
Well, I like to debate, but let's just say I'm not really a good debater because I don't win a lot.
Okay. But you put yourself in the space. You put yourself in the space for it to happen, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Maggie, I'm going to ask you just, one of the platforms we talk about relationships. And obviously you have that with your boys and your extended family, your coworkers and colleagues. But I always talk about relationships absolutely mattering. And tell me, one relationship that you may have had, and then, why does it matter? And I guess the relationship with your boys, like, why does that matter so much for you? Especially just, being a Black female, you raising young men. What's vital in that relationship to exist?
Culture. Culture shapes, just who you are. It shapes your predisposition. It shapes your thought process. It shapes your decision making. It shapes how you look towards the future. It shapes your beliefs. Culture is everything. And I think one of the things that I absolutely love in all of the relationships that I have is how not only people that we can trust and that, we allow into our circle. And when I say our circle, that circle of trust, that circle of, acceptance, that circle of belonging, how cultures are accepted for no matter what culture it is. And it doesn't have anything to do with, whether your culture is right and my culture is wrong. It has everything to do with this is your culture. And I love how this has made you who you are. And this is my culture. And I love how that's made me who I am. And so I think, when it comes to relationships, it's not about who I vote for. It's not about who you voted for. And it's not about your religious beliefs or your political beliefs. It's really about, do you accept my culture, my decisions, my beliefs, my goals, because I accept yours. I will accept yours as long as, there's also a culture of respect. So.
And so, BJ, I kind of want to follow up with that. The relationships that you've had, how is that relationship with mom? What does that look like for you? And what are you going to take away at the point in time, and it's not quite coming yet. I'm not expediting it when you're outside of her house.
We've had rough patches a couple of times, but we've managed to like get back together and be like, okay, this is where we are right now. This is where we need to be. This is how we can react to what's happened. And she's helped me through like a couple of bad friendships, a couple of family members, and she's just helped me through a lot of bad times. And then when I see her, or when I see me out of the house, I still see her being there and being a person that I can rely on as far as like mentally and physically.
Love that. Showing that love, and I see your mom got a tear in her eye. She's like, "Don't be pushing them out of my house too soon, because it ain't gonna happen quite yet." BJ, we asked you earlier about advice, okay? And you've given some great comments and quotes, and so, but you're in education right now. You're getting schooled, and so what's a piece of advice that you would have for educators? If you had every educator, you're at the conference, they're all sitting here and they're listening to you, you're doing the keynote, what is a piece of advice that you would have for educators? And that can be the math, science, English teacher, lunchroom person, custodian, principal, office assistant, anybody that kind of has a role in education.
That's a good question. I've had educators that were really nice and educators that were really bad. And like I said, my mom helped me through those times, but I'd say that educators they don't need to judge a book by their cover, because there's some of my friends that have gotten told that they're dumb by educators because they didn't get their work done, or they didn't do this, or they didn't do that. And just don't judge a book by their cover, because someday they might be making more income than they ever will.
He's just up here keeping it real. He's like, we're keeping receipts. He just went the Dion route. He's like, I'm trying to be real polite, but he's like, sometimes it might be making more money than, we're just keeping receipts. I always look at it that way. I don't want you walking in that door being like, now you got a phone. I got an audio recording. I got videos. I got pictures. Before Harrison and I are old enough where it's just like, I remember when, I don't know if you remember. Your memory's not that good.
He's like, I got you.
Yeah.
Real quick, we did get a text line. Before we get to our next break, I want to read this one from Bill in Bennett. He says, both Bennett and Palmyra are great places to live. And he also says, great school district system as well. So shout out Bill and Bennett.
Fantastic. Well, they're just co-signing everything that this young man said earlier in regards to that. Make it quickly, just give me in 3 words, 1 sentence, a piece of advice. You've been an educator, so kind of you still are an educator, but just on the in a different realm. What's a piece of advice that you would give, kind of with your tenure, to educators out there before we go to break?
Well,
1 word or 3 words or 1 sentence?
3 words? Oh gosh, or 1 sentence. Okay. To educators out there, I think my son said it. Don't judge a book by its cover. And there's a lot of covers that we can judge books by. And so, get to know who the child is for who that child is individually, and then go from there as far as performance.
Fantastic. Hey, we'll be right back on 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best they can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. Tailored Landscapes is on the brink of spring cleanups for all their existing customers, and they have limited spots available. They trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give Tailored Landscapes a call at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of their designers, and stop by the Tailored Life store in Bennett. Make plans to join 93.7 The Ticket and the Amon Green Foundation for the first annual Nebraska Esports Golf Tournament on Monday, June 9th at Wilderness Ridge. It's a 4-man scramble starting at 11 a.m. that will feature former Husker greats, including Amon Green, Johnny Rogers, Niles Paul, Tony Davis, Adam Carricker, Vershawn Jackson, and more, with great prizes and great golf. Sponsorships are also available. Email Jake at theticketfm.com for more questions, or sign your team up online at theticketfm.com. Early bird registration goes through April 20th, and overall registration goes through May 30th.
It's the problem no one wants to talk about, the middle child of driver safety. In the time of doing everything in the car with 3 screens and a surround sound symphony sending you somewhere sunny, driving takes a back seat to swiping and replying. And while you're eating and taking a sip from your drink, more than 14% of fatal and injury crashes are being caused by distracted driving. This is distracted driving for real. Let's start driving for real. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Hey, bestie. Whoa, how'd you snag that awesome set of wheels? I'm in the market for a new car, too. My friends at Members Own Credit Union. You're always in the driver's seat when it comes to your finances at Members Own. Always in the driver's seat, huh? Yep. They set you up with a loan that makes sense for your budget with great rates and top-notch customer service to boot. Looks like we're going to need to make a pit stop. Let's go. I'll drive. Hit the road to financial success and explore auto loan options with your best financial friend, Members Own Credit Union. For details, go to membersowncu.org/drive. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Spring is here. It's time to get back outside and into proper shoes this year. Brown's Shoe Fit is the place to buy this spring with their sale on athletic shoes. Get $15 off any regular priced athletic shoes with respected brands like Hoka, Brooks, New Balance, and On Running. And don't forget, Brown's carries a large arrangement of sizes and widths to fit your feet properly. Start your spring off right at Brown's Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Go Hog Wild Pit Barbecue.
Pre-order your Hog Wild slow smoked Easter ham today. Hog Wild selects the highest quality whole ham and slow smokes them until they're tender and delicious. Our 100% boneless ham is approximately 4 pounds and $50. Pre-order online at GoHogWild.com. Quantities are limited. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, 3210 Cornhusker Highway in Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
Nominations for the Step Forward Awards are now open. These awards are the state's most prestigious awards for volunteerism, and we need your help to find outstanding volunteers from your region of the state. If you know a volunteer who deserves to be honored for their service, visit serve.nebraska.gov and click Nominate Now. Nominations must be submitted by June 1st. Paid for by Serve Nebraska, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Focus. Without the right focus, you don't know what you could be missing. And when you're driving, keeping things in focus could be the difference in preventing a tragedy. I'm Trooper Fitzgerald with the Nebraska State Patrol. When behind the wheel, driving deserves your full attention. Help keep Nebraska roads safe. Avoid distractions and keep your focus on driving.
This message is presented in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association, the NDOT Highway Safety Office, and the Nebraska State Patrol.
Back to Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket, Bigger Than the Score. This is Peter Ferguson BHS LLC, and always joined on the ones and twos with Harrison. And we are entering into our third segment. And
I should also quickly announce while we're on it, we're also switching over to Royals after this segment. So this will be the last hour live here at 1040 O Street, at least on the brick and mortar. But as said earlier, we'll still have all our shows go on here.
Awesome. So it is that time of year, baseball season. So make sure you tune in, or like I said, on the brick and mortar, or like I said, go to the streaming. You'll see all the other shows today. Great lineup. Well, we have had, and I've kind of affectionately said, the pride of Palmyra in the studio. I am so thankful for having the Montgomery family, both Benjamin, BJ, and Mickey, who Mickey I've known for, I think, just even prior professional days to watching each other grow. And I just want to, tell her and take this point of privilege of just how appreciative I am of just not only her friendship, but also her continued dedication because I think we both knew each other before we had children, Harrison.
Yep.
And
Back in the Hastings College days.
yeah, so it's just interesting kind of watching that whole progression as we get to those points, but seeing everything in BJ, and I know your other children instilled in him comes from you. So thank you for sharing, letting us share this space with him today. And
Absolutely.
so with that said, as we kind of, wind up with this last segment, BJ, I'm interested in just where do you see your future being? Like, what do you see in 15, 20 years you doing?
I see myself starting a business, having a family, still being in touch with all my friends and all my family, and also just having a strong relationship with God as far as that goes.
Love that. And you talked about your business. What kind of business? Are you looking at a 93.7 The Ticket type business? Tell me what kind of entrepreneur do you see yourself being?
Honestly don't know. I have a lot of things that I really like, but I don't know as far as what business I want to start. I just know that I have a lot of things that I could start.
Okay.
Like maybe civil rights, or like you said, 93.7 The Ticket, and just anything else like that.
Oh, you gotta watch out now. DP and Rebecca are listening here. We're gonna have a competitor now. He's
maybe just a new worker. I don't know if you
Look at it. He's like asking DP, can I get the succession plan? What does the succession plan look like?
He could be number 7 in the country.
Yeah, he was like, what does family look like? Mickey, talk to, what do you see for this young man, and not just him, but also the rest of your family?
I'll tell you one thing that I don't show enough, or I am working to show more, is just how proud I am on how my boys have turned out. My oldest son being the leader of all of the brothers, you know what I mean? And continuing to lead in such a great direction of just strength. And then my 22-year-old son, who's playing football for University of Central Missouri, he's getting ready to graduate here soon. He's got one more year to play, and he's just so focused on his future. And then my other son, Malcolm's getting ready to graduate high school here in Lincoln, and BJ gets a culmination of all of that. And he takes that and he absorbs that and he learns, and he's finding himself, within himself, based on the representation that his brothers have given him and been there for him, and even shown him how to be out in the community and out in this world and out in this life. And I'm so very thankful for that, including his father too, Vern, just all the male leadership in the household. Although, I wouldn't mind more help with the dishes and the laundry. But
puts that plug out there.
But anyway, I'm just so very proud of, everything that he takes away from all of his experiences, and how he's already thinking about that. He doesn't have to have it all figured out right now. And he knows that I still want to enjoy, his age and his grade, and, just all the things about being young instead of, what society feels like it does, which is pushes them forward to be older sooner rather than later. So I'm just really happy that he's able to do that.
The statement that you said, he doesn't have to have it all figured out right now.
Right.
I think we come in here and we're oftentimes, Harrison and I mean, we're impressed by the maturity, how people put their plans forward. And I'm asking these questions, and
Right.
It's just like, okay, wow, they're just really going. Did you prep them or whatever else? And no, this is them. But
Absolutely.
the fact is, to have you say, as a mother, as an educator, you don't have to have it all figured out right now.
you
And
don't.
the fact that he gets the opportunity and you're giving the grace for that to happen, I think that's something, not only just as a parent, but as an educator, just as a community member. I think sometimes we that's a statement we can all take to heart.
Yeah, there's a pressure, that's put on all of us to have our lives figured out. Heck, I'm still working on that myself.
Yeah, I think I always ask that question, like, where do you see yourself? And that's almost one of those things. So I appreciate that reminder.
Yeah.
BJ, and both of you, as we leave, we always talk about just a love huddle, but I'm going to ask you, just finish the statement. Love is in 3 words, 1 sentence.
Love is just like an unending thing that, love is just an unending thing.
Love is an unending thing. Love that. Maybe what about that? If you were going to I want you to look right at him, finish that is, I want you to give him a love huddle. Okay. I want you 30 seconds. Just speak to him. He's in the huddle right now. Speak to your son.
BJ.
And I need you in that mic. Because we want to hear it too.
Love is when I look at you and when I look at where you came from and where you're going. Love is you being able to stand up for yourself, being able to chase your dreams, being able to write out your words that are always so powerful. Love is everything that I have, from the very tips of my afro to the bottom of my toes, when it comes to you boys and being your mother. And I would not, dare not imagine anything else but the type of love that I feel when I see you boys every day.
Wow. Can't think of a better way to end that than both of you need to give each other a hug. And with that being said, we'll see you next week on 93. We'll be a replay, but we'll see you next week on 93.7 The Ticket. Bigger Than the Score with Peter Ferguson and Harrison on the ones and twos. Have a great week.